This is the latest edition of Front Up, and I'm Whitey Willauer, and I've got a great guest today, Tara Riley, and I gather you're taking a leave of absence from the island. What's going on here?
I was invited by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute to participate in a project over in Zanzibar, Africa, to help a group of women in some of the coastal villages learn how to raise shellfish.
Yeah, what kind of shellfish?
Right now they're focusing mostly on the blood arc. It's a local clam, and they're hoping to expand into an oyster, a local oyster that they have over there as well.
And what do? Do they sell it to the local market, or do they have export it? What do they do?
Right now, Zanzibar is an island, so seafood is the #1 source of protein. So they're always looking for alternative sources, and women in the coastal villages don't really have a lot of economic opportunity there. So in the past, they've been farming seaweed, and there's a lot of competition, international competition with the seaweed industry. So they're looking at farming some of the local shellfish. And this Woods Hole group has started a hatchery 2 years ago, and they're still trying to get the hatchery running so that they can have a reliable seed supply for these women to grow out the seed. Right now the women they're depending on the local shellfish, just stuff that they collect in the wild. And in Zanzibar, the tides are really big tides, and so low tide only occurs around 6 times per month. So it's really hard for these ladies to actually get out to the shellfish beds and collect them. So they need alternative sources of seed and easier ways to grow these things out. So this is why they've started the hatcheries so they can supply it.
Now don't they have the regular diurnal tide, and then this would probably be the spring tides that you're talking about?
Yeah, they're just really big, and I guess a lot of people don't really swim out there, so there's not really an easy way to collect the shellfish.
Oh, they wouldn't know how to swim. Like Nantucketers used to not be able to swim because they never learned, except when they were diving for coins.
Yeah, I don't think it's very customary for the women to swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this a contract that you have with Woods Hole, or what kind of mechanism do you have?
I found out about it a couple years ago. Rick Carney with the Martha's Vineyard Shellfish Group is actually one of the people that started the hatchery over there, and so I heard about it at a conference in South Carolina where he gave a presentation, and so I emailed Woods Hole and said I was interested in volunteering if the opportunity was right and the town of Nantucket would agree to let me take a small leave of absence. And so it turned out that this was just the perfect time, in our shellfish season here for me to take a leave of absence. So I'm kind of going as a volunteer, but also, as an advisor for their shellfish
So this
hatchery.
isn't some kind of contract or anything else like this? Is a volunteer?
It's volunteer. They're going to provide some housing for me, and I'll be able to live while I'm there and support myself.
Now, what language will you have to speak?
They actually speak English there, so Swahili is the native tongue. So I think when you go out to the villages, knowing Swahili will be helpful, but for the most part, the hatchery's in Stonetown, and it's at the International Marine Center there, and for the most part, it's a mixture of people, and they speak English.
Now, is this a tourist location?
Yep, Zanzibar is, the population is around 1 million people.
Really?
And the island is, 1,000 square miles, so it's a lot bigger than Nantucket.
Yeah, Nantucket's 50,
it's
so
50,
yeah,
yep, so it's 1,000.
20 times as large.
Yeah, I think, the heaviest concentration is in Stonetown. But the main sources of income there do come from tourism. And then Zanzibar is also known as the Spice Island. They raise a lot of cloves and cinnamon and spices, and then raffia as well. It's big.
Now, you'll be working in a similar situation that you have here. In other words, you've got a hatchery, and are you doing? Will you be doing oysters in the hatchery and this local shellfish? Any other shellfish that you're going to be doing?
No, I think we're just going to concentrate on their local shellfish. Interestingly, part of this project is funded by Island Creek oysters, which is in Duxbury, Mass. So, you know, there's an interest in oysters there, and they are the ones that are funding the hatchery there.
Would they be importing?
No, they won't be importing it. I'll be the local oyster that they raise there. Yeah. But I've seen pictures of the hatchery, and their budget, ironically, is similar to the one that we have here for our hatchery, so I should feel right at home.
So you'll be doing the whole thing, like raising the algae and...
Yep, they have the algae going right now, and they have shellfish that are conditioning and should be ready to spawn by the time I get there. So it's just more of like troubleshooting. You know, each species has different requirements and to spawn, and it's actually more of an art, I think, than a science. So you just have to be really patient and wait around a lot and just have the right perfect conditions to get them to spawn, and then try and keep them alive. And when you're working in a third world country, you deal with things like, you know, no power and no water and issues like that.
So you'd have to have your own generator and clean water.
I think you have to become very creative in certain situations.
I see. Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, how will that affect what you're doing here?
You know, I'm kind of a planner, so I have everything pretty organized. I have my plan for next propagation season, and right now, commercial fishing's going on. So, you know, usually what I would be doing is going out with the fishermen and, you know, seeing what they're doing and learning about, you know, how their boat works and what they're finding and that type of thing. And the boathouse is shut down for right now. It's seasonal, so I wouldn't start any algae up until the end of January anyways. So I'll be able to start right when I get back. It should be fine.
So when do you get back?
I actually get back February 17th.
I see.
Unless things go a little quicker than usual, I'll come back sooner.
Yeah.
But, yep, everything's ordered and ready for next year. So.
And what did Dave Franzuto say when you told him this?
He thought it was an amazing opportunity. So, you know, of course he's supportive of it, and it's a great collaboration with Woods Hole, you know, to go over there and work with a group of women and provide an opportunity that they wouldn't normally have. I think is pretty amazing.
And do they pay your way over, or do you have to pay your way over?
They're paying my travel, and they're providing housing for me while I'm there. But, you know, everything over there is pretty cheap. People live on less than $1 a day there. The average income is about $250, so I don't think...
Per year?
Per year. So, you know, you don't need a lot of money while you're there.
But it is a tourist destination.
It is, but there are areas that are certainly more affordable than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Now, what are your plans for next year as far as our shellfish are concerned?
My plans for next year are to increase our production. I'd like to double it. Last year we released 70 million larvae, bay scallop larvae, into Mattakit and Nantucket Harbor, and so I'm hoping this year we can do 140 million. So we did 5 releases last year, and I want to up it to anywhere between 8 and 10. And I just want to expand our coverage over to Mattakit and just have more of a presence over there and support that fishery as well.
Where would you release over in Mattakit?
I think Warren's Landing and over near Eel Point seem to be the areas where there's a lot of water retention and you know, good circulation.
So you for instance, on Nantucket, you did it more or less up harbor, didn't you? Where
we did it up harbor.
Yeah, where there wasn't much current. Mm-hmm. And then, now, do you have any idea how well you did?
Well, I feel like our first release that we did in Fifth Bend went really well. We did it early in the year, so it was the end of May. And there's a lot of seed up in the head of the harbor, I feel like, as a result of that. Now it's spread all over the head of the harbor, and I think that can happen as soon as you do the release. The larvae go all over the place. So I think some of that seed stranding that we had, you know, a few weeks ago was probably a result from
those are your seed, do you think?
I think they are. You know, a lot of people say, well, how can they move all the way over? But, you know, I think when you release them and they're microscopic, that's when they travel. And that's where they can end up in lots of different places.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, thank you very much for coming in, and good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you come back speaking Swahili.
I will try.
You try?
Yep.
That's a wonderful thing you're doing.
Thanks
a lot, Tara.
I appreciate it.
Right.